Good afternoon, everybody. I am so excited that we are on day two. We are on interview number two, and today I am joined by the phenomenal ANIA Jeffrey, who's known as the Confidence Creator. And we are here for the online summit, the Pay It Forward series, Notes to My Younger Self. Now, as many of you know from our calls before, that the reason for me setting this up is that I run the Women of Contribution group, and it is all about women coming together to collaborate and share their gifts with the world. But all too often, I was hearing women who say, well, I've got nothing to share. Now, the Pay It Forward series, Notes to My Younger Self, this lovely book here, was a way to showcase to the world what happens when 18 women come together with one mission in mind, and that was to impact on over 1 billion lives. Not only through the readers who are reading these phenomenal stories, but also for the charity, the Global Fund for Women, and a percentage of everything that we generate goes towards that charity. Now, my intention for you this week, as you listen to these courageous women share their stories, is that you not only get inspired, you become empowered, and you realize the magic that happens when women come together to celebrate each other and collaborate and work together to change the world. And that is why I am so excited to let you know that on the 8th of March, yes, International Women's Day next year, we will be hosting the first ever Women of Contribution Conference, which is called Destined for Bigger Things. And the reason it's called Destined for Bigger Things is we know that each and every woman out there is being put on this planet for a bigger mission than they maybe even realize right here, right now. So a few logistics before we start. We are working on about a 60-second delay. If we have any technology difficulties or even have difficulty speaking, please bear with us, and I will try and sort it out as quickly as possible. But for those of you who don't know me, my name's Kezia Luckett, and I am the founder of the Women of Contribution movement and the creator of the Pay It Forward series. And I am a positive mindset coach, and I coach legacy creators like Anya who are stepping forward to really change the world. And I help them remove emotional blocks and barriers to really truly stepping into their power. Now, Anya is a phenomenal author, and her chapter is called Learning to Dance in the Rain. And she shares not just one pivotal moment and how it changed her life, but actually four. So welcome, 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 Anya. It's lovely to have you.
Be here.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, like I say, you have four pivotal moments within your chapter, and I don't want you to go into all of them in massive depth, but just remind our viewers, or maybe those who haven't picked up a copy of this phenomenal book yet, just remind our viewers what the four pivotal moments were and the effect, the kind of layering effect that they had on your life.
Oh my goodness. Well, the first one, I was in a train crash. I was in the carriage that concertinaed, and the conductor of the train, he was high on cannabis and went into the buffers of Cannon Street Station. So life-changing, really, for me. So that was the first one. The second one was, it was redundancy in the family, which made me embrace change in a way that I never had before. Then it was the creation of Women Work, where I was so pushed out of my comfort zone, but where I also realized that as a mum, I always thought that my role was to inspire my children, but in fact, my children so inspired me in the whole process of setting it up. And the last one was a medical diagnosis in the family, which led me to set up the Female Entrepreneur Adventure Expedition, which is taking place in October this year. So that is hugely, hugely exciting.
And I can't wait. We will get to that, because that is something that I love it. It's all about contribution and collaboration, which is obviously the main thing that I love. But I want to take everybody back to Cannon Street Station, and you talk about the fact that the conductor or the driver, I suppose, was high on cannabis. You were younger than you are now, obviously, you know, only 25 now, so obviously not too much younger, but you were younger than you are now. And life was pretty good. You're newly married, you've got a good job, you go out on that day and you don't expect anything to happen. But the thing that struck me, and I'm getting goosebumps now, and every time I think of it, it gives me goosebumps. The thing that struck me, not only in our conversations when we were looking at what story that would truly make an impact, was when you described a conversation between a dad and his teenage daughter. And obviously, you were still a young woman then looking at it, so that there wouldn't have been a huge age difference between you and this young girl. But something was happening, and that changed everything. The way that you raised your own children, the way that you treat family. Explain to everybody what happened.
I think the first thing that I will say is that pivotal moment, and it really was pivotal, changed the whole way that I think about communication. And I'm not saying that I'm the greatest communicator in the world. I'm learning every single day, but it certainly changed the way that I think and thought then about communication. And it was a normal day. I was on the train, I was reading a book, we were traveling into Cannon Street, and there was a father and his daughter in the aisle, and she was being, in my eyes, very rude to her dad. And he was trying to connect with her, and she just wasn't actually responding. And I remember thinking, you're being really, really unkind. And it could well have been that it was just normal young adult behavior. But for me, I had a very close relationship with my father when he was alive. It was something that mattered, and it was something that affected me. And I remember thinking, I'm going to have to stand up and say something, because she was being so rude and she was being so loud that everybody in the carriage could hear. And it was the old carriages where you had the luggage racks in between the seats.
Yeah.
And so I'm showing my age here there.
No, it's only a couple of years ago.
I know. But I just remember thinking, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to have to say something, because now what you're doing is you're humiliating him publicly, and it's completely unnecessary. And at that moment, when I was going to say something, the train then crashed. And of course, we were in the carriage that concertinaed. So it was completely it just crumbled. And my last memory is the father being crushed by the luggage racks and by the seats. They all came away, and all I could see were his legs, and his daughter then screaming and saying, "Daddy, I love you." And it made me think about all the communications that we have and all the conversations that we have. And it's not about what you say, it's about how you make someone feel. And it's also how you leave them when you walk away from that conversation. So it was as a result of that I became a life coach and became an NLP practitioner.
And do you know what? Every time I hear that word, Daddy, I love you, it still it brings me to tears almost every single time, because I think of, it's so easy to have conversations in the heat of the moment and all of a sudden think, oh crap, I shouldn't maybe said that, and hopefully the end story of that was that, they were reunited and everything else was fine. But I know that played a big part of the way that you raised your children as well. And I've met two of your children. They're phenomenal human beings, absolutely phenomenal human beings, and the stuff that they're doing is absolutely amazing. But yeah, it touches me every single time.
Do you know, it made me think, and I think about this a lot, and I shared with you that it took me, oh gosh, at least 10 years to even talk about it. So the fact that I shared the story, it really was about giving other people the courage to know that we all have daily challenges. Yeah. We never know what's going to hit us in the next 5 seconds. We never know how we're going to behave, but we can get through them. And for me, I would say near enough, especially recently, since I co-authored in this book, I think about this weekly. I think about, if he survived, she had the opportunity to make amends and say, Daddy, I'm so sorry. If he died, that would be her last living memory of her father. That's what we need to think about. It's literally is the conversations that we have.
Yeah, and communication is so key, and it's easy, I think, and I'm going off track here, but I think it's really important. I think especially these days with social media. You know, you can send a text to somebody and your intonation in your head is absolutely fine. But if the person picking it up the other end is having an off day, or, you know, or is feeling, you know, at odds with the world, potentially the way that they read that could be something completely different. And before you know, everything's exploded, you know, and everything's not as good with the world as it should be.
Absolutely. And it's something that we need to think about, because it's all about the vibration that we put into the words. And as you say, we send out a message and it sounds absolutely fine. And then you look back and you think, oh my God, there was no feeling in that, or it was just really direct and I didn't mean it like that. I was having an off day. So social media has a lot to answer for.
It does. And if you've got lack of time, quite often it's better to be present and go, do you know what, this can wait a few minutes and I'll do it in 10 minutes when I've got time, rather than a quick something over. But one of the things that I was interested in, and the reason that I'm going to ask this question is I think this will really help other people. You talk about the fact that after the train crash, your family and friends, which is normal, all kind of gathered round and wanted to help you recover from this trauma, but you found it really difficult because you kind of knew that you had to do it by yourself. So can you explain to our viewers, how did you eventually gain the belief and confidence that life would be okay again?
I think I reached a point where I recognized that if I didn't ask for help, I wouldn't be able to move forwards. And in my culture, it's always been, you're strong, you're resilient, my nickname used to be Sunshine. So many of my friends didn't even know the trauma that I was experiencing. And the way that I was able to deal with it is I would garden. So I would be gardening till midnight. So I could barely even see. And I just had to constantly be focusing my energy elsewhere. And then there reaches the point, and I think self-care is absolutely key, and we all need to be remembered about self-care, and I have to remind myself often. But you reach a point where you think, you know what, you have to change where you are, but the only person who can do that is you. So even with the closest family in the world, sometimes they're too close and they can't help you. And it's being able to have that ability to ask for help. And I think that is the scariest thing, to actually say to someone, I need your help, because there's that fear of vulnerability, there's that fear of judgment, that fear of sharing, but just to say, look, I need your help, just come into my life. And I think the moment you do that is the moment that the magic really happens.
And it's amazing, because we're now 4 interviews in and you're the 5th, and there seems to be a real common thread running through what people are talking about, you know, asking for help and how difficult it is for us as women to do that, you know, being vulnerable, and the self-care aspect as well is a biggie, you know, actually understanding that we have to look after ourselves before we can help other people.
But I think also when you're a mother or when you're a wife, you tend to put yourself second. And when you're running a business and you're trying to balance a family, it presents its own challenges. And you are faced with so many obstacles and so many moments of overwhelm and transition, also opportunity, but you have to have that positive mindset, and you've got to surround yourself with the right people. And I think the journey of an entrepreneur is a very, very lonely one. And unless you are able to connect with people that you trust, with people who you know are positive influences, it can be a struggle.
It definitely can be a struggle. And I think many people that are in business or have been in business will totally understand depression. I mean, I suffered with both depression, overwhelm, burnout, all of those things, because I was afraid to ask for help. I was afraid to put my hand up, because I feared that by putting my hand up, I would be less of a somebody. You know, I wouldn't be able to be that shining person for everybody, but actually that's what people want to see.
Do you know the most amazing thing that's come out for me out of this book is the fact that there are so many men who embrace the stories. And so we may talk about women of contribution, but I think women are the voice for change in families, in relationships, in careers. And I have a lot of male friends, and my husband included. He's actually read the book, and he said, "Do you know what? It's absolutely phenomenal, because every story is going to resonate completely differently with other people, but there'll always be something for someone." And with mental health being so high amongst men, it's, if we can actually even change the message and just slightly behind asking for help, then I think we've achieved absolutely so much. It's just phenomenal.
And I think being able to share these stories, because and I know we're talking to Debbie Montgomery later, and she's obviously the woman behind the smile, but being able to share these stories actually kind of allows a path for people to be able to share their own as well. And if you're always constantly with this big happy grin on, saying everything's okay, my life's great, and actually behind the door you're kind of stuffing your face full of chocolate and glasses of wine at night, then people aren't going to feel that they can come up to you and go, "Do you know what, actually I'm having a really shit time, I need some help here." And you know, that's what I love about the way that you shared this story. And we both have a shared experience, because I was lucky enough to be one of the guest speakers for ANIA, her Woman Work event. And we both got a bit of a surprise when a gentleman turned up at the stand. Do you remember?
I do remember that, absolutely.
And he said, "Oh my God, you're here, I've read your book." And the book had been out, what, 3 weeks, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Oh my God, you're here. And I loved your book. And I love where you said in the story, blah, 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 blah." And I went, "Oh my God, you really have read it." And he'd found it in a hotel room in Morocco, in the bedside cabinet, with a Woman Work leaflet in it. And he had come specifically to buy 3 more copies to share it for, you know, pay it forward to the women of contribution in his life. But the joy of the story was, it was your husband, I think, that had left the book, hadn't he?
Yes, he had. He'd actually been out to Marrakesh at a retreat, the book, and it was picked up by this guy who then actually flew over, especially to Women Work, which I set up as a result of hearing 7 friends who'd actually friends. It was professionals who'd committed suicide, and they were all men. And I thought, we need to start to change the conversation behind mental health.
And I love the fact that you're so passionate about men, obviously the men and the women, but the men aspect, because obviously often we think with the rising of the feminine, it should be to the detriment of males, but it's not about that. There's part of masculine and feminine in each and every one of us. And I love the fact that you're so passionate about that, and obviously doing so much to change that as well. And the thing that I love is you talk about one particular male, and you went to a Chris Akabusi workshop.
Yeah.
And at that workshop, you kind of had one of those light bulb moments where you just went, "Oh my God, I can actually do anything in life that I want to." And your journey over the last, what, couple of years has just been like, so tell everybody about that experience. And then I want to get on to your wonderful trip to Malawi.
It was a light bulb moment. It truly, truly was. I run another business with my husband, and it was a personal development workshop. And I went, and I wasn't into personal development then in the way that I am now. Akabusi stood up, and I remember thinking, "Oh my God, you are absolutely sensational. I want to be there. I want to be changing. I want to be doing what you're doing." And I ran up to him at the end of his speech, and I literally threw my arms around him. I said, "You've changed my life." And Chris has been amazing. He has met with me several times. He's advised me on my marketing strategy, on all my future goals. He has been phenomenal. And for me, that was all about just asking for help. And I somehow managed to get his email address. I don't know how I did it. I emailed him. I asked him a question that I wanted to put out on LinkedIn on mental health. And he actually called me. We were on the phone for over an hour. And I thought, that is a real man of contribution. He's actually picked up the phone in order to have a conversation with me. And I'm no one, absolutely no one.
No. Rewind. Firstly, you are somebody, absolutely every single woman on this planet has a way to contribute and share their gifts with the world. And without you, there would not be how many women going to Malawi?
It's 14 women who are going to Malawi, and these are real women of collaboration who are very passionate about leaving an impactful footprint in this world, who want to support mental health, women's rights, period poverty. It's all aligned with UN global goals, but they actually want to make a difference in this world. And for me, it's actually, they are women of collaboration and not women of competition. So
so what made you choose Malawi, and what are your intentions when you're out there? Because Malawi, to me, you know, when I think of Malawi, I just think, oh, okay, and I hope my geography is right here, you know, somewhere in Africa, and, you know, a variety of hardships that those people potentially could be under. What is your mission when you're there, and why Malawi specifically?
I chose Malawi because and he, for years and years and years, he's spoken about the beauty of Africa. So, and Malawi is a third covered in water. So it's absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
Also one of the poorest underdeveloped countries in the world. And period poverty is very close to my heart because there are so many girls who don't go to school as a result of having periods. So we are trying to raise money for reusable sanitary pads. Mental health is very high, women's rights, and the group of women who are coming together, we're going to share our experiences, we're going to share our expertise, we want to learn from a different culture. We'll be visiting an aid centre, a radio broadcasting station, we'll be going into a Samaritan street group, we'll be running a business workshop, a social media workshop. We are actually using our skills in order to raise awareness of that everything is absolutely possible, and hopefully we will learn from them too.
And I suppose you don't really consider it until somebody says something, and you've just said something there that is kind of running through my mind, is the fact that young girls can't go to school when they've got their period. Now, my daughter hopefully will never see this, but my daughter has just started her periods, and I know what a big thing it is for a girl when you know, you start your period and not have the accessibility to sanitary wear that we would need as women. If they can't go to school, what does that mean for them?
It's awful. It's absolutely awful. It's something that we take for granted. But if they can't go to school, there is a very high literacy rate. It's they are not expanding their minds. They are not learning about all the wonderful opportunities in this world, and they become very stuck. So, and it's, you know, when I think of all the opportunities that we have, and they are thrown at us every single day, we really do not appreciate how extremely lucky we are.
And also the opportunities that we get that we sometimes overlook because we're consumed with maybe other things that are tending to hinder us in this century that we're living in. You know, a lot of us, I saw an article this morning of everybody's face in a phone, and it's just like.
But the thing is, we take education for granted here, and we don't appreciate fully how wonderful the system of education is here. And when you look at some of these schools in Africa where they don't even have enough pens in the classroom or enough exercise books, and they really are thirsty, they are so hungry to learn. And yet here, sometimes in the UK, it's you're given all these fantastic opportunities on a plate. And sometimes you need to have a reminder that really be very, very grateful for what you have. Don't that's a given.
And I know we went on our honeymoon, 20 odd years ago, to Tanzania. And one of the things that we were told was that children want pens, and they want a particular type of pen, and they need to be able to see the ink in the pen. So the actual body of the pen needs to be clear, because they're not allowed to school unless they've got a pen. So, you know, these kids were begging on the streets for a pen because they wanted to go to school. And I know sometimes how difficult it is getting my kids to school every day. I mean, especially at the moment, because we're obviously in a Spanish school, but you know, how difficult it is getting children to school. And here are children that want to learn because they know that if they learn, it's going to change their lives.
Absolutely, and wealth of knowledge. And you can see when that light sparkles in their eyes, you know that they are so grateful, and they will take that knowledge to a different level. And in small communities, anywhere in the world, you only need a small piece of knowledge in order to really create a difference. And so I have to say, I think we are all hugely excited about being part, and I think it will be life-changing for us. We're going to be pushed out of our comfort zone. We've got a physical challenge. We're climbing Mount Melange. You know, we are going to stay overnight in a homestay.
Oh, amazing.
That is going to be amazing. And also the reward is staying on Mumbo Island. It's an island that only seats 14 women. So, and that will be women coming together and really, really connecting. And that's the last day of the trip.
And for women that, you know, well, I suppose there's two things. Firstly is, you know, for women that want to get involved with this, I think you've got a waiting list, but obviously if anybody wants to get involved in this, then please do. But is there any other way that we can support you and your mission that you're on in Malawi?
No, absolutely. And we have a Just Giving and the sponsor page that's going to be launched either this evening or tomorrow. So please check out my Facebook page. It's ANIA Jeffries, and it will be shared everywhere. So just by you sponsoring, know that you can make a difference. And if you are interested in coming, because we may have a last minute dropout, we never ever know.
No, you don't.
No, then please connect with me through Facebook, and I will send you.
Fantastic. And I'm sure you'll post in the comments afterwards anyway. So I'm just going to have a quick look and see what questions we've got, if we've got any. And joy of joys, the modern technology that is, at the moment, we seem to have a lot of people just saying, we love you. Hello, hello, which is lovely. It's lovely to feel the love. So we'll come back to those in a minute if we can. If there are any questions that you've got for the lovely ANIA Jeffries, then please, please, please just drop them in the comments below. But I'm interested in, you obviously met Prosecco Bussi, you realize that actually the world's your oyster. You can achieve absolutely everything that you set your mind to. You're known as the confidence generator because you boost people's confidence. How easy was it for you, and what top tips? So I suppose there's two questions here. How easy for you was it to regain that confidence back after the crash? And then the second thing is, you know, what top tips can you share for somebody who actually is in that place where they're just not feeling confident at all?
I think once you make the mental decision to embrace change, that's the moment that you fly. And that's the moment that you are pushed out of your comfort zone to really grow. And that means embracing fear. So if you have fear, if you have any anxiety, know that you can actually overcome them. No one can do it for you. You have to do it yourself, and you can do it. Everything and all is possible. It's all about adopting the right positive mindset. And, you know, and I would say is it's very much life is what you make of it. And you never know what tomorrow will bring. So just live and laugh and enjoy what you do, which can sound like a cliche, but you have to find beauty in everything. And I know that in my moments of overwhelm, for me, the gratitude mantras are absolutely key. I like to wake up to a positive thought. So I always, when I wake up, I spend literally 30 seconds saying thank you. For whatever the day will bring me. And when I go to bed, I always say thank you for whatever the day has given me. And that actually gives a very positive focus. So even when you've had a shocker of a day, just pull out one thing and just think, okay, there's something good in this. There definitely is something good in this. I think you also have to always look forwards and never backwards, which again can be very challenging. And it takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength and a lot of confidence to do that. And you may fall, but know that you can pick yourself up. And each day is a new day. So it's literally, it's just small steps, and never ever give up. That's the other thing. And for me, it's, when I've had my challenges, it's my friends who get me through now. And I actually share. I won't hold it to myself. I will turn around and I'll cry with them and I will laugh with them. And I will say, I'm actually in a really not in a great space and I need you to support me. And I think I don't care anymore about the vulnerability. For me, it's beauty comes in the sharing. And I know that when I've shared my moments, people have come to me and said, you've actually changed my life because you've to change mine.
Yeah, and actually, I'm just going to look down here because I took a quote from the book, and it's something that I love, and it just reiterates absolutely everything that you've just said. You said life is a gift from the universe, that you might not first understand the situations that are thrown at you, and that even though you initially immersed in the negative, there is always a wonderful message to be found.
And I think there always is. And I think you just have to look for it. So I think you were saying to me a couple of days ago that sometimes you might not see the message staring you in the eyes, but it could be 2 years, 3 years down the line, you all of a sudden will understand why certain things have happened in your life, what the reason was behind that, and why it was meant to happen. And I'm a great believer the universe presents you with many, many challenges. I think you're faced with challenges every single day, but know that you can actually get through them. You actually just need to have that self-belief.
Yeah, and actually, if we look back at the 4 kind of examples or pivotal moments that you shared, and the work that we did together, being able to look for that positive in each one, to understand that that is the reason why you're stood here as the ANIA Jeffries, that you are holding that space, not only for yourself, but for your children, your friends, your family, and also the women that you're serving. And I absolutely adore that, is that, it's made you who you are. Yes, we don't want to live in the past, but sometimes we have to delve back and just maybe reframe some of the things that have happened, because they do make us who we are today.
They do. And when I think, I've got my book coming out later this year. It's Confidence in 24 Hours. And it's all about, it's a toolkit. It covers every moment where you may not feel confident, but it gives you the strategies and the coping mechanisms to know that you can grow in confidence. It's not something that you're born with. It's something that you have to learn. And I think we are all incredibly special. And sometimes we may not see the light that shines from within us. Other people will, but we need to see that light within ourselves first.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the biggest challenges that women probably face today is, firstly, allowing people to see our light, because sometimes we try and cover it up with shame, doubt, embarrassment, a wide variety of different things. Seeing it within ourselves, but surrounding ourselves with women who can look at us and go, excuse my French, shit, you're really lovely. You're just like the dog's bollocks. We just love everything that you do, and the way that you turn up in the world, and the way that you help people. And the more other people can see the light in us, the more confidence we gain. And obviously, as the confidence generator, that's part of what you do, surely, is being able to see the bits in other people that they might not be able to see in themselves, and bringing it out and building their confidence in the meantime.
Well, when I think of all the moments that I had in my life after the train crash, where everything was real darkness, and I had to still make out to the outside world that it was full of light. Absolutely, that big mask. I wore a mask for years and years and years. And I think, oh my God, I could have actually saved so much pain if I had just chosen to show people how I felt, but I felt that I wasn't able to. And I think part of me becoming a confidence generator is to say to people, you can be whoever you want to be. You can make anything happen in this world, but above all, you can inspire others to be the change they want to be. And I know that for me, it's so important to have role models, and it's so important for my children to have role models. And one of the reasons why I wanted to co-author in the book, and I remember saying to you, and I was actually sat in a study thinking, what legacy can I leave for my children? And I wasn't talking about a financial one. It was very much when I'm not here on this earth, how will they remember me by? And this book is very much, it truly is, they know that my chapter's in there. And when the kids read it, they said, gosh, Mummy, we had absolutely no idea. Because we don't share this stuff with our kids. We may just share a snippet, but not everything.
No, and to be honest with you, 9 times out of 10, our kids seem to think, well, maybe it's my age or my kids, they tend to think you're quite boring, what do you know about life? You haven't really lived, I do remember a quote, I think it was either Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie, who said that their kids thought they were really boring. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, if they're boring, I've got no hope in hell.
But it's true, it's people's perceptions. And that's also why it's very important, because people judge you in the first 20 seconds. Yeah. And we all have moments where we're not, smiling, where we're not happy, but you have to remember that. And I remember my aunt always saying to me, remember the moment you walk out the door, you put your lipstick on, because you may come across someone that you have no idea that you're going to meet, and there could be someone who will become very pivotal in your life, but know that you actually look good. So, and that's what I do. I actually wear my lipstick when I go out. Might not wear anything else, but I've got the lippy.
What is it about these women in our life? My mum always used to say to me, lipstick and perfume, because people remember your lipstick and your perfume. And actually, I'm very, smell orientated. So if I walk into somewhere and it doesn't smell quite right, then, that can evoke all sorts of memories. And my son's the same. He goes, I just love, he'll know when I'm wearing the perfume that I wore when he was first born. It's amazing how people remember us. And talking of legacies and how we want to be remembered, obviously you have shared so beautifully, so courageously, and so vulnerably in this book. What legacy would you like to leave your children and this planet? Because that's what we're all about as women of contribution. That's why 18 of us have come together, well, 19 of us have come together. What legacy would you like to leave when you obviously depart this world?
For me, it's very much, I want my children to know that I was a woman of action. And I was a great mum and a wife, but very much that I always did what I said I would do. So it wasn't that one day I'll do something. And the reality is, for most people, they never ever move out of their comfort zone. They stay exactly where they are because they may be frightened, or it could be because they are happy where they are. But I think life is full of opportunity, and having lost several friends recently, it just makes me think, really, you have no idea, none of us do, how long we have on this earth. So if someone asks you to do something, say yes. If someone asks you to go with them somewhere and you're thinking, I really can't be bothered, just do it. Absolutely do it. And I have this, it was a friend of mine, when he went through a very acrimonious divorce, he said that what saved him, he adopted a yes philosophy. So for 2 years, he said yes to everything, absolutely everything. And it said it was his saving grace.
Didn't he get, I love that idea of saying yes to everything, because we often play this little story in our head, well, oh God, I don't want to impose, or, all of these things. But wasn't he exhausted saying yes to everything?
He was eventually, but he said it gave him the courage to deal with what he was going through, and he needed distractions. So it would have been very easy for him to have said, I can't, or I'm really busy, I just don't have the time. And he could have just stayed at home, but he knew he couldn't stay at home. He had to get out. And I remember watching him over the months and saying to him, do you know what, you've really, really inspired me, because it takes a lot of courage when you're single and when you're out on your own to embrace new challenges. It's great when you've got a partner, when you've got a girlfriend, or, or a boyfriend. But when you're out on your own, it's like, oh my God, I've actually got to go and do this on my own. And I said, and you did it. And what you also did is you showed to your kids that even through a moment of crisis, how you behaved, you gave them the courage to know that you can actually get through it. And that's my alarm keeps going off.
That's all right. And from my point of view, I think if your legacy is to show women that you are, a woman of action, well, you most definitely got that one nailed already. So anything that you do over and above now is just going to be adding more to that. So What I wanted to do is, I don't appear to have any questions. I'm just going to quickly refresh. And like I say, if you've got any questions for Anya and you want to ask anything, then please, please, please just drop it in the comments below. The modern technology seems to be a little bit slow on the uptake here, but minor detail. Could you just tell, while I'm refreshing and having a look here, could you just tell everybody what your free gift is and why it's so important that they need to download it?
Well, my free gifts are on my website. They're on ANIAJEFFRIES.com, and they are tips for you to step into your power and grow in confidence. So all you have to do is just go into the bonus tips.
Well, in actual fact, we're going to make it even easier. So at the end of the week, we're going to send everything through with your page, with this video and the free gift, so they'll be able to access it straight away. For those people that are thinking, oh, I can't remember the web link, that's fine. We've got that all there, because anybody that's just kind of sitting there and thinking, oh, it would be nice just to have a little bit more confidence, Anya's your lady. So it just goes for me to say a massive, massive, massive thank you. Thank you not only for sharing your story, but also obviously sharing so vulnerably, because I know initially when we first talking about the train crash, although it happened many, 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 many years ago, still sparked a few memories within you that were a bit uncomfortable. And I think, and I'm hoping that's kind of, moving further and further away now, and allowing you to truly step into your power that you are at the moment.
Thank you. No, it's all good. So there's been a lot of positivity that's come out of sharing my story. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, Kezia.
Not a problem at all, not a problem. Well, like I say, if you have any questions, please don't be shy, because Anya would love, 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 love to be able to answer any questions that you have. Pop them in the comments below. She will be here on and off throughout the day, and probably on and off throughout the week. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. And we will look forward to seeing you at 8 p.m. this evening. And that's UK time, with Debbie Montgomery Johnson, who is the woman behind the smile. And we will be delving into her chapter, Refined by Fire. So please, please, please come and join us then. Take care, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye-bye.